This is going to be What If Deku Gained Haki Abilities, Episode 2. We're going to start the morning after, right before classes start. Deku will still be injured with bandages around his head and his arm in a sling. Deku would have been sitting in the office, nervous. Right in front of him would be Principal Nezu. And Nezu would just be sitting there, quietly, drinking his tea, waiting for Deku to speak. But after a minute of waiting, Nezu would start to speak up. Yuzuki Midoriya, why did you call this meeting? Deku would just like nod. It was like, oh yeah, that's right. Principal Nezu, I wanted to talk to you about Bakugo. I don't think he should be expelled after what he did during our battle trials exam. But Principal Nezu will respond, Katsuki Bakugo almost killed you. Are you sure you want him in your class still? He has potential, but his behavior is unacceptable. Deku responding to Nezu saying, I know, but he did something yesterday that I never thought he would have done. He actually apologized for once in his life, and I accepted it. He apologized, and it seemed like it was from the heart, a genuine apology. And I want you to not expel Bakugo if you can. And Nezu would nod and telling Deku, I'll think about it. And then Deku will bow down to Nezu, saying, thank you for your time, and he will quickly walk out. Now we're going to do a time skip to like a week after, or a week and a half. Bakugo would have been suspended, not expelled. Would have been suspended for at least a week. But Nezu did talk to Aizawa, telling him to put a short leash on Bakugo. So during this week and a half time skip, Deku would actually become friends with Uraraka, Ida, even Kaminari, and Kirishima. Kirishima was best friends with Deku and Bakugo in this timeline. Because I'm not gonna lie, Kirishima would be training with Deku sometimes, like every other day maybe, and he would see Deku's training as manly, because he'd be punching straight metal. And Kirishima's quirk and Deku's armament hack would be pretty similar, but Deku's armament is stronger in durability, and he can actually bend metal. Not like thick metal, not just yet, but he can still bend metal. And during this time, Deku would actually try to learn full body armament Haki from Kirishima. He's trying to learn from Kirishima's quirk to put it in his armament Haki. And Deku's armament Haki would actually skyrocket a lot during the time from Bakugo's fight to this time skip because of Haki Bloom. Because he got a massive Haki, like a power up after Bakugo's fight. He realized that once he fully recovered throughout the week from Recovery Girl. Because if you don't know, in One Piece, Rayleigh explained to Luffy that he gets stronger with each hard battle you experience. It will start to develop alongside the enemy's Haki. So each stronger opponent you face, your Haki will also get stronger throughout the battle. But Deku would not only train his armament Haki, but his observation Haki as well. Asking Uraraka, the Visible Girl, Hakakure, and Froppy, the Frog Girl, to help him with his observation Haki. I forgot to mention Ida, but Ida will also help. They would go to like a gym, and let's say Deku grab a ball, and Ida, a Froppy, and the Visible Girl would actually try to take the ball away from Deku, while Uraraka, touches Deku, make him float, and he would try to dodge out the way while using float, trying to increase his reaction speed and sensing all of them all at once. Meanwhile, Baku would also be training. He does not want Deku to be in front of him, so he'd still be training his one for all and explosions. But he would also train with Kirishima during separate times with Deku, and Kirishima would be extremely tired, and he would be injured sometimes, going in and out of Recovery Girl's office. But Kirishima would get stronger as well and more durable, but not like a whole lot. Not like also the relationship between Deku and Bakugo would be friendly, but they're not friends. They don't talk to each other every day. Maybe Deku would ask for a pencil every now and then, or Bakugo would yell at him, telling him to go away. So the day would come after time skip, the USJ, and Aizawa would tell him about it. Press a button for their suits to come out. Deku would start to use his gym uniform because his last suit still got destroyed by Bakugo, and it wasn't repaired yet. So they would go on a bus ride, and probably will still bring up the topic of who's stronger in the classroom. And I think everyone would agree it's either Todoroki or Bakugo, because they've seen Todoroki's way of doing things during the battle trials after the fight of Deku and Bakugo. But they haven't seen Bakugo's view, and he blew up half the building and two other buildings in front of it. So It would be kind of crazy of like a battle between Todoroki and Bakugo. And Bakugo would yell out, "Yeah, of course I'm gonna win. I am number one. I'm better than all y'all." And Todoroki would just be silent in the back of the bus, doing his own thing, emo music and everything. And during their rant, Deku would just be rage baiting Bakugo midway through it, saying, "I don't know, Todoroki is kind of stronger. He probably freeze you over, you know? What can you do about that?" But then they would bring up Deku's training regimen and they would be inspired by it because he is training hard every single day on his body, his speed, his reaction time, everything, every single day. And he's also asking for help. He's not like being stubborn about it and doing it by himself. He's asking help from his other classmates to actually train. And Mineta in the back of the bus would be kind of jealous of Deku because all the girls is glazing him right now about how he's training and how he's also helping the other classmates. Arriving at the USJ, 13 will be introducing herself and the facility behind her. While 13 is explaining everything, Deku will be over there in his mind glazing 13, saying, "Oh my god, that is a space here, 13, blah 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 blah." He'd be ranting to himself. Uraraka next to him will actually hear this and say, "Oh my god, what is he yapping about?" And just like the original, All Might would not be there. As I was asking 13, where is he? And 13's like, I don't know. He's supposed to be here though. So All Might would not be here right now. But 13 will continue to rant, saying using quirks is quite dangerous. Like my quirk, I can kill someone with my quirk, blah blah blah. Until Deku felt a ominous aura towards down the stairs and where the portal is opening. And Deku would actually speak up about this, telling 13 and Izawa that is there supposed to be a portal here? Because there's like hundreds of people coming out. And like original, Izawa will tell 13 to get everyone back and call for help. And Izawa jump down the stairs, starting to fight the villains, while Shigaraki is there saying, "Yes, panic. Kirigiri, do the plan right now." And Kirigiri would disappear, reforming right against the door of the exit. With Kirigiri blocking the entrance, Bakugo and Deku would immediately run forward at Kirigiri. And 13 would yell at them to stop, don't do this. Deku, activating his armament, would actually grab onto Kirigiri's like mist body. And Kirigiri would be surprised by this because he never felt this before. Like no one could ever do this, but Deku can. Because with Deku's armament Haki, he can actually touch intangible objects or intangible people. Like, let's say if you fight the sludge villain right now, Deku would actually be able to hurt him with his armament Haki. And with Kirigiri being shocked by this, would immediately teleport them away. With Deku falling into the portal, would actually fall out towards the flood zone, like original, splashing into the water, using the observation Haki, with multiple fish villains attacking him. But Deku actually trained for this. Against Suyu and the Invisible Girl, everyone like that. Using his observation training, would easily start dodging these villains. And Froppy, just like the original, would swoop in, save Deku and Mineta, and going into a boat. After getting on the boat, the three would actually start to have a conversation, planning what to do next, with villains circling their boats and actually starting to take apart the ship from underneath, damaging it and slowly sinking it. And Deku would actually say, the only way out of here is to fight our way out. And Mineta would be scared. It's like, what? Fight our way out? But we're only just students. We can't fight actual villains. But Froppy would speak up saying, well, they probably don't even know what our quirk is. Because they sent me into the flood zone and I'm a frog. And Deku would actually realize this, but like, oh my god, you're right. Then Deku would propose a plan, saying, how about we bait him into one area, then I'll throw Froppy into the air towards land, and Froppy can use her tongue to grab onto me and Mineta. Mineta would be like holding back his tears, saying, how do we even get them into one place? And Deku would say, I'll jump overboard. And Froppy and Mineta would be like, what? You're gonna kill yourself? And Deku responds saying, well, all I need is to survive until Froppy gets on land, and then she can use her tongue to grab me and pull me out. And that will only be like a few seconds, so I should be fine. How about let's make this easier and I throw both of you towards the land? And they would be shocked. Can you do that? And Deku said, I think so. I don't know. I haven't tried. So that's what they will do. Deku would activate his armament Haki on his forearms, picking up the two and throwing them as far as he can towards the land. With Deku jumping in, starting to fight the fish villains one by one until Froppy lands on a nearby piece of land, grabbing onto Deku's body and pulling him away. Meanwhile, in Bakugo's zone, he would have destroyed everyone. I mean, like Bakugo has been training. He is strong, stacked onto one for all. In his training too, dude, his explosions will be no joke, and he will be running through villains after villains, like no problem. And everyone else would do about the same as in the original timeline in their type of zones. back towards Deku, Froppy, and Mineta, because since that's like the main spotlight right now. Arriving to Azawa's area, seeing Azawa being pummeled by the Nomu, and Shigaraki laughing in the background, and Froppy and Mineta would be frozen in fear. But Deku, his willpower to save Azawa would be raging out, and he'd be sprinting towards the Nomu and Zawa. With Deku full sprinting at the Nomu, Shigaraki would be laughing, telling the Nomu, "Hey, give this kid a show." And suddenly a metal thud would be echoing out, with Deku's armament fist slamming into the Nomu's head, with Azawa yelling up to Deku, telling him to run away. With Deku's willpower to save Azawa, his Conqueror's Haki will roar out, forcing Shigaraki in the background to kneel down, feeling Deku's willpower raging throughout his body. And Deku will look up towards the Nomu, and the Nomu would be standing completely still, unaffected by that punch. Countering Deku's attack with a punch into Deku's stomach, launching him back. Deku landing into the ground will slowly get back up with his stomach covered in armament Haki, gasping out for air because he felt that punch. That punch was no joke, even with his armament Haki protecting him. Just by looking at the Nomu, Deku can tell this animal, this beast, this mindless beast is similar to All Might in terms of strength from his observation Haki. This thing was made to fight All Might, but he does not care. He needs to save everyone here because that Nomu can probably kill everyone here. The Nomu will let go of Azawa's head, slowly walk into Deku, and Deku will yell out to Azawa to erase this Nomu's quirk so he can fight it. But Azawa will return, yelling out to Deku, saying, "Don't do it, this guy's too strong for you." And Deku would just mumble under his breath, saying, "What's the point of being a hero if I can't save people?" And Deku would sprint right at the Nomu. Azawa having no choice but to help Deku, because his bones is broken, he can't walk, he's laying on the ground in a puddle of blood. All he can do is use his quirk against his Nomu. And that what Azawa will exactly do. He will erase the Nomu's quirk of shock absorption and the regeneration. And at that moment, Deku and the Nomu actually start to trade blows. But Deku will be using his observation Haki to barely dodge from the Nomu's punches. After 10 seconds of this, an explosion would be heard. Bakugo propelling himself through the air towards the Nomu, creating another explosion against the Nomu's head, will yell out, "Die!" Bakugo has arrived to the battlefield. The Nomu will stand still with barely any damage to his head. And by the way, Bakugo using the explosion will not have used One for All during that one. So his explosion will still be strong, but it doesn't have that One for All punch to it. Bakugo landing next to Deku will yell at him saying, "You can't take all the fun. You can't be the only hero in this classroom." And Deku would just smirk, telling Bakugo to keep up. And Bakugo yelling out say, "Of course I can." Then the two would sprint at the Nomu, with Shigaraki yelling out, telling the Nomu to kill them both. And Deku would actually use his full-bodied armament Haki. Yes, he did learn it, but he has not mastered it yet, so it is draining a lot of energy from him. And the Nomu and Deku will be trading punches for punches, with Deku holding back his pain as much as he can, with blood coughing out through his teeth, but Deku will endure the punches and damage and everything from the Nomu, with Bakugo blasting over the Nomu, creating multiple explosions against the Nomu's head and back. And the two will realize their damage output isn't enough. They have to go beyond Plus Ultra. Nomu will pull back its left arm, swinging it into Deku's ribs, sliding him back, with Deku coughing up blood, kneeling down, but quickly gritting his teeth and running straight at the Nomu. Deku, still using his full body armament Haki, would start to trade blows and a barrage of punches, each of them doing damage to Deku's body and each punch dealing a little bit of damage to the Nomu's body. Deku is thinking, "I want to be just like All Might, and I'm waiting for All Might to arrive." With each punch Deku is enduring and Deku is throwing, he'll get stronger by every punch. Deku's Haki will be developing at a fast rate. Like, it is skyrocketing. This is the strongest opponent that Deku has ever faced by a long shot. And Deku is not backing down. He is standing up just by his willpower alone. Meaning, Deku's Conqueror's Haki is actually leaking out from his body throughout the area, knocking out like the fodder villains in the area, even forcing Shigaraki to kneel down and staying there. Bakugo will come up next to the Nomu, grabbing onto the Nomu's ribs, using One for All and explosion into one, igniting a massive explosion, blowing the Nomu upper body apart. As they just think they won, Azawa would blink, and the Nomu would start to regenerate. With Bakuyo's left arm being broken and Deku being like almost unconscious at this point from the pain, the two would just say, "Oh my God, how is this guy still up? How is he healing? This guy has multiple quirks." Immediately, the two will go after the Nomu again, going around two. Starting off with Aizawa staring at the Nomu again and Shigaraki sprinting towards Aizawa to try to kill him. Wow, Froppy finally getting confidence to use her tongue to grab on Shigaraki and throw him away from the area, before Shigaraki can even grab her tongue. The two, Bakuyo and Deku, will be like trading blows with them, but each time the two will actually be pushing each other away from the Nomu's punches. The Bakuyo would actually propel himself against Deku to save him from a punch, and Deku would use his observation Haki to save Bakuyo from a punch. The two will be helping each other out to defeat this Nomu. And this fight would kind of play out as the second movie of MHA, the one they fought Nine, and Deku using One for All to give to Bakuyo by accident. And the two will be jumping the Nomu, but the Nomu will be tanking every attack. After a solid minute of trading blows, spikes of ice will form in the Nomu's legs. It's like holding him still, covering his entire legs, holding him still, while the two would just start beating on the Nomu. And the Nomu would try to punch back, but the two would be helping each other out. Bakuyo and Deku would not give up. They want to defeat the Nomu now. Bakuyo using his other arm to pull the pin and using One for All at the same time would blow apart one of the Nomu's arms and breaking his other arm, leaving him armless. Not like severed, but like two broken arms, making him useless. During this time, during the battle, Ida would actually escape and go find All Might. And at that very moment of Deku throwing his last punch into the Nomu, with his full body armament coming down, disappearing, and Deku falling to the ground, going unconscious, alongside with Bakuyo going unconscious as well, All Might burst into to the USJ. Shigaraki slowly standing up, staring up at the staircase towards All Might, would feel rage. And All Might, with a frown on his face, angry, staring down at the Nomu, he would be confused what he is staring at. But that doesn't matter. All Might has to save the students now. And he would dash against Nomu using a cross slash with his hands, slashing against the Nomu's torso, sending it launching back. Shigaraki would yell out to Kataguri to make Aizawa disappear. As Kataguri appeared right next to Aizawa trying to pull him away, Kataguri will feel the Conqueror's Haki from Deku's body, instantly being blown back. Even if Deku's unconscious, his Conqueror's Haki is still yelling out. It is still being used, because he really wants that Nomu to be defeated and his friends to be okay. Todoroki, covering Shigaraki's lower half in ice, we actually encase him into it, and Shigaraki would be panicking right now. He would have been panicking, yelling at Kataguri to teleport him away immediately. And All Might would actually still be fighting Nomu, but he would have less of a hard time because Deku and Bakuyo would actually deal enough damage for All Might to actually defeat the Nomu. And All Might wouldn't need to go plus ultra or beyond plus ultra. So All Might would still win, but he wouldn't need to go beyond his limits. So he still has a lot of time left as being All Might. Immediately after All Might winning the fight against the Nomu, all the other heroes would come in, and this time everyone would be arrested, including Shigaraki and Kataguri. And that will be the USJ arc. Everyone would be safe. Bakuyo arms would be broken, but would get healed by the Recovery Girl. Deku would have to get a major power boost in his Haki, but he'd still be okay, even though he still has like a lot of draining to his energy and maybe some broken ribs. But Recovery Girl got it. The class would be okay, but the news would be glazing the whole entire class for surviving an entire villain attack, and they would get a lot of popularity. And after everything happened, All Might will learn about the news about how Deku jumped in to protect Aizawa, and Bakuyo done the same thing, and the two fought with their lives, and he will be shocked. And All Might would actually meet up with Bakuyo and Deku and praise them. While Bakuyo is like kind of like looking away from him, kind of embarrassed. Deku will be happy, but oh my god, All Might is glazing me. He's thanking me. He is congratulating me. This is unbelievable. After the school closed, upgrading the security system, the class would go back to normal with Aizawa appearing in with bandages around his face, and the class would be shocked, not expecting Aizawa to come in for at least another month or something recovering. But no, he's a pro hero, so he knows how to handle injuries and pain and all that. And Aizawa tells him to shut up because they have to train for the sports festival. And the class will still be concerned. There was a villain attack. just like a few moments ago. Like, are they even ready for this? And Aizawa said, yes, of course. This is one of the biggest events of the year. Closing it down, telling them that we're weak. And Uraraka, still being Uraraka, will yell out the class saying, yeah, let's get ready for this. And she gets serious and everything like that. Yeah, let's crush this event. Let's tell everyone who's boss. And still, Class 1B and Shinso would be outside the Class 1A, being jealous from the fame they received after the USJ incident, telling them that they would get destroyed in the upcoming sports festival. Bakio, of course, is running out the classroom, telling them that they're all extras and useless. And Todoroki would actually declare that he is stronger and will beat Deku and Bakio. And of course, Bakio get riled up. Deku is confused, like, why? I thought we were classmates. Kaminari in the background will be rubbing his hands together, saying, oh yeah, this might be entertaining. This is getting good. Get the popcorn ready. So Deku, responding to Todoroki, would just say, fine, I'll play you a little game, but I will win against you. Time skip to a few weeks till the grand events. During this time, Deku and Baku would actually talk more, pause. Some heroes are there at the event, protecting it for security. Everyone's hyped up, the class is hyped up. They all trained, especially Deku. He trained very hard for this event. He has bruising on his knuckles and everything. So they do walk out into the crowd. Midnight still announces herself and announced Deku to walk up and do their speech. And Deku was shocked and like very nervous because he got first place in the entrance exam. So he is the representative of UA, or at least the first years. Deku, being extremely nervous, would still go up there having the guts to say something. He would announce that, do your best, everyone. When I was a boy, I was weak, but now I got stronger, and I hope everyone else can get stronger and save everyone in the future. And the whole crowd would cheer for Deku. Say, yeah, that's a nice speech, blah, blah, blah. And Midnight would take the mic again, doing her little speech, then announcing the obstacle race. So the students will get prepared for the race, and Deku, using the observation Haki, can tell Todoroki will do something nefarious at the beginning. Maybe he will use his ice to block the path. So that's what he's going to predict. So Midnight would say begin, and the moment she said that, Todoroki would dash out, covering the entire ground in ice, and he'll be sliding out. But Deku, covering his leg and armament Haki, was stomping against the ground, destroying the ice immediately, making Todoroki fall over. And Todoroki landing on the ground, slowly looking back towards Deku with anger in his eyes, because he was not expecting that. And for someone that is supposedly quirkless, there's no way. This guy just shattered his ice, no problem. Todoroki knows something is up with Deku. He is not quirkless. There's no way. He went toe-to-toe with that Nomu, and now he is just destroying his ice, no problem. Now, everyone else will fall over because the force of the impacts from Deku's stomp would shake up the entire area. Except for Bakio. Bakio would have used the explosion and propel himself over the ground. And Deku would leap over, landing right next to Todoroki, smirking at him and running off. Deku will leap right next to Bakio, and the two will be tearing through robots. The whole entire horde of robots. Bakio will be using his explosion, tearing them apart. Deku will be using his armament Haki in his hands, punching through them. And the two will quickly meet the wall of zero-pointers from the exam. The giant Robo Inferno, the barrier. I will just put a picture up on the screen because I forgot what they were called. While Bakio and Deku get ready to destroy the zero-pointer, suddenly an iceberg will form right into them and around the zero-pointer. Deku and Bakio, being encased in ice, will be angry. They just got showed off by Todoroki, and they quickly burst out of the ice, with Todoroki running past them towards the next part of the obstacle. Upon the two breaking out of the ice, they will dash into two other zero-pointer robots and just break right through their heads and continuing their path right behind Todoroki. Todoroki is in first place right now, with Bakio and Deku sharing second place. President Mike and the Spectre will be glazing all three of them. We'll be like, oh my god, this is super entertaining. All of them are just tearing through them robots like no problem. Isn't this not entertaining, folks? This is about to be the best year of UA ever. Hiroshima will burst out of a robot, sighing, did I die? With Tetsu next to him will break out next to him as well, with his steel covering his skin, sighing, ah, like he's like yelling out. While Deku's running, he would suddenly get wrapped in tape. Suro, from behind, would pull himself above Deku, making him get caught up in third place. Deku realized that he was too focused on the robots to even notice Suro with his observation Haki. and Tokiyami would run past Deku, with Deku quickly tearing out the tape and running right behind him. Now Deku is now in 5th place, right behind Tokiyami. The group would arrive at the pit or the fall, I forget what it's called, but it has like a giant multiple dips with multiple pieces of land connected to each other with rope. And Deku is doing 2 long leaps. Yes, Deku can do a very long leap, like a true One Piece character, not obeying the laws of physics. And he just dusts everyone, including Todoroki, but Bakio will keep up using his explosions to propel himself over the dips. And Bakio and Deku will be in 1st place together. The two is fighting for 1st place. There are splits. The two are the same speed, everything. And President Mike, over the announcement, will yell out, "Look at Suzuki Midori, he is doing long leaps over the pits. Apparently he's quirkless, but I don't believe so. I think he's just naturally gifted." And the crowd will be cheering for Deku. They are celebrating, they are wanting him to win. Deku breathing hard, right next to Deku, sprinting right next to him. Bakio will smirk over, saying, "What's wrong? Can't keep up? For someone that's quirkless, you sure can do a lot." Approaching the minefield, Deku would use his observation Haki to run around the mines, and midway through the minefield, Bakio will propel himself over it, setting an explosion right down against the ground next to Deku, exploding a mine right under him, making him fly back, crashing into the ground. Bakio continued propelling himself forward with its explosions. Bakio is now in 1st place. Deku mumbling under his breath, saying, "Playing dirty, huh?" Deku grabbed a nearby rock, standing up and throwing the rock straight at Bakio, smacking him across the head, making him fall into a mine. Slowly, Bakio was standing back up, angry, shouting on Deku, saying, "How dare you!" with Deku running right past him, telling him to keep up. And Bakio would be absolutely mad. Meanwhile, right behind them, in 3rd place, Todoroki would approach the minefield, using his ice to slide right above it, creating a small little arch right above the mine so it wouldn't explode, clearing the minefield. Deku, now in 1st place, will sprint towards the finishing line, thinking he can win, with Todoroki behind him, trying to use his ice to slide across it, trying to keep up, but he can't. Right when Deku thought he won, Bakio will blast right past him, using all of his power in his explosion to propel himself forward, clearing Deku and winning 1st place. Bakio, upon landing, will smirk at Deku, saying, "What's wrong? Can't handle defeat?" with him laughing at him. And Deku just sitting there, out of breath, saying, okay, Mr. Explosion, how about don't use a quirk next time?" Just like I said in the 1st episode, Deku cannot keep up with Bakio's mobility with his explosions. Him propelling himself forward with the explosion would be too much for Deku. But this time, he can keep up, but during that situation right there, he can't. He can't do nothing about it. And what Deku noticed throughout the obstacle race is Bakio's stamina of using his explosions has dramatically increased. His endurance and his stamina of using his explosions has skyrocketed since the USJ event. And that is something Deku didn't do. Yes, he got faster, stronger, more durable, but he didn't train his stamina that much. So the outcome will be different, with Deku being 2nd place, Bakio being 1st place, and Todoroki being 3rd place. With the obstacle race coming to a close, with everyone else getting the same placements, Midnight would announce the 2nd section of the event. Midnight would announce the cavalry battle, with the 10 million point headband going to Bakio. Shigaraki would yell out to Katagori to make Aizawa disappear.